Okay, today we're going to do the tie rods. We have the other parts, they're going to be on order. Actually, the control arm, you can buy a complete control arm with ball joint and the bushings and everything, all for like, I think we can get both of them online, Moog, for about $100. And these, as you can see, here's the part numbers. Whoop. There's one. There's the other one. And they're, if you're going to do suspension components, spend the extra money. Moog is like top of line, so if you're going to, like I said, if you're going to do it, spend the money on it. So it is definitely a little expensive. Moog is not cheap, but you get what you pay for. So yeah, here we go. As you can see, I lubed everything up, and I'm getting everything lubed up back there too, getting ready. These are usually a pain in the butt to get off. These not so much, so we might have to use a little bit of heat. But let's jump into this thing and see how it goes. So let's begin this. These, like I said, are a pain in the butt. And usually you round them off because you can't obviously get close end unless you have a special wrench for it. But you got to use your open, and usually it doesn't really break off, and you round them off. As you can see, that one's a little round off. So what you can use is a pipe wrench. You got a pipe wrench, put it on there. Look at that. Probably could have got that off. That wasn't even honestly that tight. But either way, that's spun. Okay, now that spun the whole thing. So what you need to do is when you're doing these is you don't want to loosen this. You can loosen it and clean the threads up if you want, but the problem with that is if you do that, you're going to lose your adjustment. You're not going to know exactly. You're going to technically need alignment after this, after you do this job. But if you can get it really, really close, you can do one of a few ways. What I usually do is I do it two ways. I leave this, I break it loose just so it's loose, and then I count how many turns it takes to take this off. So then you turn it the same amount of turns back, and then you just tighten this down, so then boom, everything should be darn close to the same alignment that you had when you started this project. So keep that in mind. Don't run this the whole way back and then unthread it and then you're like, oh, where did I go? Remember that. Either just break this loose and leave it really close to where it's at, count the threads, or how many turns it takes to come off, and then turn it back in the same amount of number, same amount of threads, and then tighten it down, put it all back together, and it'll put you in the ballpark. Like I said, technically you still need to get an alignment, but this will put you in the ballpark. So this is, like I said, this is loose. See, I can turn it, and I just want it so it's tight, just loose, just enough. Okay, so now what we're going to do is take this off, and we will see how that looks like. It's going to be pretty fun, so we'll see how it works out. That one came off very easy. Now that was a 3/4. Back here I think it was like 11/16, so I was able to get that off with actually it was a pipe wrench, but either way 11/16 is close enough. I would use a pipe wrench on these if you can, because like if you use the open end, you're going to round them off a little bit if they're this tight. So if you can get a pipe wrench, make sure it's on that, break it loose. This one again easy. So what we're going to do is you don't really technically need a pickle fork. I've never used one. I've been doing this for years. Tons of ball joints and stuff. Never used one pickle fork. But you can. I mean, either way, it doesn't matter because this ball joint shot, we're replacing it, so you can use it if you need to. But all you need to do is smack that really hard with a hammer. And I like hitting things with hammers, so let's give this a whirl and see if it'll just pop. And if it doesn't, if you leave the nut like this, you can kind of just tap on top. Like I said, you're replacing all this, so it's not that big of a deal. But either way, let's tap on this thing with a big old hammer, see what happens. Thank you, Cousin Chad. He gave me this thing. It's a unbreakable. Usually they're green, but this thing's worn. But this thing is a monster. So make sure you don't hit the brake rotor. Look at that. And one problem is, it's nice having air tools, is these, as you can probably see, well, maybe not. Let me see if I can move you in a little bit. Okay, what happens is this ball actually will spin inside the socket here, so you actually won't be able to get this off. Let me see if I can actually get it. Yeah, okay, so sometimes that happens, and that's what's nice having air tools is that you're not actually putting the force out, you know, like on a big socket and wrench and really yanking on it. Whoop, there it is. This, with an impactor, just comes straight up out of it. Pretty darn easy. So, like I said, look at this. I mean, it's not out, but, I mean, look how bad and rot that is. It's rough shape. So, like I said, now we're going to count the threads out, get the new one, and put it all back together, torque her down, and we're done. So, you're here. Make sure this doesn't turn. You're keeping an eye back here, too. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Almost 13, right on the money. Awesome. Okay, so like I said, you got 13 threads out on this, so you're counting that, but you're also, this never moved. I mean, this moved just a hair, just enough so you can tighten it, but that's it. So your alignment should be darn close to what it was before. What we're going to do is we're going to look at these two tie rod ends. I don't know what brand this is. Could be doubt it's a factory one, but who knows. Either way, we're going to look at these. This is a Moog. This is, like I said, top of the line, heavy duty. A little, like I said, these actually weren't too expensive for this car, but either way, usually these are way more expensive compared to the other ones, like DriveWorks or whatever. So what we're looking at here is this one surprisingly doesn't have a grease fitting. I call them grease fittings. They're Zerk fittings, but grease fittings. They don't have one on here, which is kind of surprising to me. They usually do. And in the kit, they usually come with an extra lock nut. That nut that we had to loosen to begin with. They usually come with one. This kit did not. Neither tie rod ends came with one. So, but what you want to look at is also on these designs, got a little bit of grease on here, but usually they have like a cotter pin. You can put a cotter pin through it and lock it. This one doesn't, and what it has is it has a nylon inside here, and that is a locking mechanism for these. So these are technically a one use, because once you thread into that, that's like locking it in. So once I torque that down, we should be good to go. I'll have to look up the torque spec. Man, it's cold, guys. I'm sorry, I'm stumbling. I'll look up the torque spec on this, but I'm not exactly sure what it is. Either way, easy. I said thread it back in. As you can see, it's about the same. It's a little bit different design. I don't know if you guys can pick that up. It's obviously a little different on this angle here. I don't see why that would change anything, but as you can see, it is a little different. Yeah. Either way, let's throw this thing back on there and get the other side done, and then go inside and get warm because it is cold out here. You can put a little bit, because you're actually locking it on with this nut. So what I do is I put a little bit of, it'll actually come out being it's so cold in here. I got some Motorcraft high temp anti-seize. Just put a little bit. You don't need much on there. Just a little bit. It'll make it so when the guys in alignment shop can do it, everything can spin nice and freely. Like I said, this is getting locked on by this, so it's getting locked on there. There's really no way to unthread because it's going to be, you can't spin this off because it's going to be locked in the knuckle here, and unless something really funky up here happens, we should be good to go. So let's thread this thing back on, I'll count the numbers, and then, like I said, it should be darn close. If it's not, then we're going to be a little upset about some things here, but either way, let's go. Okay, see that one came to like 12.5. So it's like I said, that's going to be the little difference. I mean, this, like we said off the beginning, we saw that there was a little difference in the shape of it. Yeah, maybe it's a little bit different here. So what we're going to do is, see, it's not quite there. So that's it tight. We know we weren't tight, but like right about there, and then we'll be able to torque this thing back down into it. Should be close. Like I said, it's not going to be perfect, and you technically need an alignment after you're done doing any type of suspension work. So either way, guys, it should be at least close. We'll take it for a test ride and make sure the wheel's not completely off, but we'll see what happens here. Little research I did I think the torque spec on this is, as you can see, like right here, that's that nylon that's coming out. It's actually locking the threads. It is 33 foot-pounds. I already have it set there, and I already tightened it, but either way you can hear it. Ready? Right there. So it's torqued. That's tight. It's definitely going to be a little off. That was about half a thread difference. And like I said, I told her, my niece, that she's going to have to get an alignment anyways. So either way, at least the play's gone, and we will get some control arm stuff too later. But yeah, guys, that's it for so let's go over a few things. So this size here, when coming off, was 3/4. Okay, now what size is it? It's 11/16 for the Moog, so it is a little bit difference in size there. Back here was the 11/16 that I had. Seemed to fit pretty snug, but again, if I was you, as you can see back there, I would use a set of a good set of pipe wrenches or so to break it loose. And it was normal thread. It wasn't like reverse thread or anything like that. But yeah, so what you want to do, like I said, a little overview, is before you take this nut off, you want to break this loose. So this all twists, it's all stuck in here. So you can get a lot of force on that trying to break that loose. If you take this off first, then it's just hanging down here, and you'll be spinning everything in here. You won't actually be able to break that back nut off. So once you break this loose, then you can just go ahead, unscrew that. Sometimes if this ball is spinning, you can put like a jack underneath and push it up in a little bit, and that'll help. Or you can get like vice grips or something on it and just hold it and then rip it off. Air tools or an impact is really helpful when doing ball joints in general. What else do we have? Yeah, and then once you have it loose, you can just thread it on just on top of the threads here, and just smack that with a big hammer a few times, and it'll drop. Like I said, I've been doing this for a few years, and not once has I ever, even for ball joints down below, never had to use a pickle fork. But either way, guys, so I'm going to get the other side done. That doesn't take long at all. Tie rod ends are super easy to do, but they are a safety concern. So if you're not comfortable with it, just don't do it. But like I said, if you need, look up specs. Online is awesome. Google has everything you ever need for all the specs for these cars. There's actually a forum for just these cars, which is kind of crazy, but good for them. And like I said, guys, give it a thumbs up. Thank you. We'll check back later. All right, see you later.